We are going now to our last speaker. David Nchimbi is a seasoned business executive with 24 years of experience. He's also the founder and managing director of Pemando Associates Limited in Tanzania, a multidisciplinary consulting firm focused on socioeconomic transformation, business turnaround, and communication. He has over 23 years of experience in advisory work, accounting and auditing, and risk management, having served a diverse range of clients in sub-Saharan Africa. The experience is diverse, including linked complex assignment for multi-country-based entities throughout Africa in the private and public sector. He has worked for clients in multiple industries such as banking, telecommunication, tourism, agribusiness, and health sectors. Prior to joining Pemando Associates in 1st January 2024, David began his career at PricewaterhouseCoopers and later joined Standard Chartered Bank Limited. David spent 17 years, including 15 years as a partner, from January 2007 to 31st December 2023 at Deloitte, where he held different leadership roles, including managing partner of Tanzania and the financial services industry of East Africa. Between 2017 and 2019, David served as a member of Deloitte Global Advisory Council. The council convened selected partners across global Deloitte practices, where they had tasked to oversee and run a high net worth project registered under the Deloitte Global CEO's Office. David represented the Africa continent in the council. David has a deep understanding and appreciation of corporate governance. He was among the founder of the Institute of Directors in Tanzania and served as a non-executive director for the Institute for the first 3 years after its establishment. He currently serves as a member of various boards, including Tazama Pipeline Limited, CEO Roundtable of Tanzania, Techs Consultant Limited, etc. So David is a certified public accountant and member of the National Board of Accountants and Auditor. He is also holding Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Sciences and Mathematics from University of Dar es Salaam. Please join me to welcome David to the podium so that he can share his experience, his enormous and wealthy experience with us. Please, the podium is yours, David. Thank you for saying.
Good morning. It's a privilege and a honor to stand here talking about innovation. And Leonard, my boss, when he came here, he said he's not talking as an accountant, and I'm one of them, unfortunate. But I will also try not to talk about standard, because I sort of forgot also, Leonard. I tried to force myself to forget about accounting standards, so I'll not talk anything about accounting, but rather the experience, which of course my experience has been running professional services firm for the past 24 years. And this morning I'll talk about the role of business managers in scaling innovation culture in the workplace. So trying to put what has been discussed earlier by the first two speakers into more practice, especially for most people relevant in this room. I can see maybe half or so of the people in this room are at managerial position, who are the custodian of the innovation culture in the workspace. So I'll talk about first, what is innovation culture? Second, why managers should care about innovation. And lastly, what managers can do to scale innovation. So, what is innovation culture? To start, what is innovation? Innovation is the implementation of new ideas that may be product, services, or business model, distribution model, strategies that address specific challenge and add clear value. Culture, consistent, observable patterns of behavior in organization. It is the way we do. In many organizations, they say, this is our culture. This is their culture. If you go to, I use that as an example because I like them. When you go and Apple stores, we don't have one, but across the globe, there's a way you see those people, and they're called something genius. That's the name. And you can feel that it's different. And that's what you also see in the iPhones. For me, maybe being an accountant, I don't know how to differentiate from iPhone 11 to iPhone 15. But I keep on buying, and I love them. When there's a new one, I buy another one. And I don't know what's the difference, because I see all the same. And then innovation culture, in an organization, culture that values support innovation, so that people can actually make innovation happen in those organizations. So, as I said, must be value addition for it to be innovation. So it's focused on solving problems or providing a need that is relevant in the current situation or in the future environment. And creating an environment for new ideas to be experimented and improved continuously. So it's not something that you do once. For it to be a culture, as we said earlier, it's the way things are being done. So it should be continuous process. And that culture, it has to be highly tolerant of failure. Otherwise, if it's not broken, why fix it? Or I'd rather be safe than make a problem. And we see in many organizations where innovation is not being made as a culture. And we'll see what managers can do later. And one thing that you'll find in those organizations is collaboration. It has to be there, but also hierarchies should be minimum. We should not confuse innovation culture with developing things that are just new, but not useful or relevant to the end users. I rather know some organization, I will not mention, that they have innovation departments, but as a user of their products or services, you don't see that. I don't know if there are any banker. If you go to half of the banks in Tanzania, you find that they have forms that have been there for many years, and even the space to fill your name is not enough. And they have the whole department for innovation. You cannot even write your full name. The space for signature is sometimes just too small. You cannot even sign. And they have a whole department of innovation, including innovation director. So sometimes if you do something new or different, you call it innovation. Even if it does not add value, it has to add value to the end user. You may have a very fancy office, but that is not necessarily innovation. My past organization, which Angela initially introduced me, so some of you, I'm sure you received David Nchimbi, managing partner of Deloitte. I'm not now. In most of Deloitte offices, there's an ideation room. There's a room where, and they actually started in Africa, and then it adopted in many places across the globe. There's a room where you go, someone sits there all the time, and you can just go chat with him, say your idea, and then he put in an image representation on the wall. So the entire wall is actually a writing board. And then you can delete, you can do, so that's a room for ideation. That by itself, it does not mean anything if people don't do with those ideas going in those rooms. So something new or a fancy office by itself is not creating innovation culture. There's a tendency nowadays of changing manual processes and transaction into digital. Same process as innovation. That is not necessary. In most cases, innovation, you'll build a totally new business model or platform, which is not necessarily extrapolation of the past. Use digital technology to innovate, but not to extrapolate the past. Then for people, they have been doing this way instead of doing manually. Nowadays, they use computer, same information and everything. So that by itself is not innovation. Coming up with nice ideas, but you don't execute those ideas, still, that is not innovation culture. So some of the obvious need for innovation is business growth. Definitely, when you innovate, your cost of production can be less, you'll attract more customers, so that will obviously have an impact in your income statement. That is the only accounting technology I have to use. I've said about increasing production because of that costs, but also your employees can do more with innovative way rather than traditional way of doing things. To stay competitive, us as customers, we change. As we change, we expect our service provider to also change as we also transform. For them to remain relevant, they have to be innovative. Otherwise, we will move with the new ones. I don't want to repeat, there are so many examples, there are so many companies, we used to hear about them, they used to be bigger, they are no longer in existence because of not having that innovation culture. But also in talent attraction, in the modern world, if you are too traditional, especially for the new generation, you have a better chance to attract the best of the talent in innovation culture rather than in a traditional organizations. Now, I've said a lot of the things that we need to avoid, but one thing to be mindful, innovation culture, as I said at the beginning, is decided by the tone at the top. It is the role of the leadership. And I think the first two speakers put it very well. And the managers, whom I'm talking about now, their role is custodian of that innovation culture. Now, what managers can do to scale innovation culture? First, to build a psychologically safe environment. In many organizations, and of course, I use the case of my organization, managers are the ones who are dealing with the projects. At the top, you have partners who read more to motivate managers, but also to run the organization and represent the organization outside. And that's the typical structure in most of the professional services firm. The environment I know very well. And managers are the one now to build that psychologically safe environment. For managers, there is no point of someone having very good ideas, but they're afraid of telling you those good ideas. And if you have not, or rather people, they are afraid of telling you good ideas, then you have to ask yourself what it is now you should do so that you attract them to give you those good ideas. So that their team feel the importance of talking to you and be deliberate about you. Make time to listen, defy your judgment. Most people under you will thrive and accomplish tasks better when they feel supported, respected, and heard. Your job as a manager is to pump the fear out of the room. Make it an expectation for your team to speak up, identify quiet team members, and see how you can support them, and not necessarily embarrass them. Sometimes pointing finger, you, what is your comment, can be intimidating to some team members. So you have to know your team members and make them feel safe to air their view and ideas. Coach them, mentor them, so that they can embrace to be vulnerable. Our cultures it's very difficult to embrace vulnerability. Most of the time, we like self-involvement. So if you don't have a manager who can support you, you are likely not to give your best ideas. And sometimes can be certain things as simple as language. We have multilingual environment. Some people, they are not comfortable speaking to certain languages in meeting rooms. So it's the role of your manager, of the managers, to make them feel safe and comfortable to speak up. Practice active listening, communicate attention with your body language, and don't interrupt. Encourage feedback, set up meetings to discuss and reflect on issues with the team, especially for those who are quiet. Give them space and time. A terrible idea is often a cousin of a great idea. As I said, defy your judgment, ditch your assumption, and get curious about ideas. Innovation process starts with a huge quantity of ideas. So nothing is stupid, and make your team appreciate and understand that and live with, not just say. Get as much information as possible, and then you can filter down to come with what now can solve the problem you are trying to do using different managerial tools. Managers must lead as if they are right, but listen as if they are wrong. Encourage younger team members to speak up, learn from them. Don't show that you know so that they should keep quiet. Have that intellectual humility to be able to listen. As my personal example, I'm a graduate in computer science. And then immediately after graduation, Mr. Msusa took me into accounting. And over time, I was not as good as other people. And of course, audit, advisory, keep on transforming. And what I used to do is to get the youngest team members to coach me on those new tools and technology. Of course, I'm sure some of them, they're having sleepless nights an eve before that session with them. But you can imagine, as a young graduate, you have to go and teach the managing partner on how to use certain tools and systems. And it used to work for me very well, because they'll come very prepared. I listen to them, I give them time, I ask questions, and honestly, I didn't know. And that's how I used to learn about new tools and technology. And these people are really fast because they give it time. They are born and they found these things as normal. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. So sometimes defer the word no. I used to have one of a colleague, she was my boss at some stage. Whatever sentence she will start when you are discussing, her first word will be no, even if when they mean yes. So they start, no. What you are saying is very right. So the moment you start with no, for some people, and of course, especially when you have authority, I will keep quiet. I will not speak next time. But allow them to speak. Listen, and then, even if you know that what they are talking does not make sense, and then at the end you can debate with them. And in that way, you encourage them to speak up. Groupthink, in some environment you have to avoid. In my environment and my experience, it has been somehow made natural because we work in projects In those projects, there will be some who are senior with a long experience, some middle level, and some new. And in every team, there is someone who is fresh, graduate from university. That is one. Second, multi-skilled engineers. Nowadays, I see a lot of medical doctors, architects, accountants, economists being in a team to solve an accounting problem. So that level of diversity naturally creates that innovation culture and avoid group thinking for people to think in a certain way. And of course, in those organizations and in many other organizations, what you can do to also do strategic recruitment, you don't have to necessarily get people from University of Dar es Salaam. At some stage, I had some friends at University of Dar es Salaam and Mzumbe University, and we used to have most people coming from University of Dar es Salaam. That was at Deloitte. And then one day, I traveled to Mwanza and I visited one university, St. Augustine University. That was the first time we hired from St. Augustine University. Now, there are certain people who came together from St. Augustine University, 3 or 4 of them. Since they came, because they were so different with others and they felt that way. So you'll see all the time 3 or 4 of them together. And strangely, until now, 10, 15 years, they are still friends. So that might limit the level of innovation. When all think alike, no one is thinking. So to do this, like-minded group members, autocratic leaders, stressful scenario, and crises, some of those things to avoid. This is an example for Toyota. So Toyota, they have this big red square, and every new employee in the production line, at the end of their week 1 in the organization, they have to go and criticize on the 3 items they have experienced. And someone used to listen, and they use that to innovate. So even in organization, you can find a way to get that criticism and embrace the criticism. And the managers can do better, but leadership, they have to provide for that scenario. Innovation does not thrive when you have analysis paralysis. Too much, tume, kikosi kazi, mchakato, mkakati. By the time you finish all that process, innovation have to be fast. You can imagine, I'll use iPhone. Every year or other year, they come with something which they say is new. I'd never noticed how new it is. But they move fast, and they are making money because of that. I have all my iPhones from iPhone 11, whatever, but I keep on buying. They don't break. They are very durable. I have absolutely no reason to buy another one. And sometimes, just they say there's a new one, Mr. Nchimbi, here it is. Of course, you receive an invoice later. But if you take 2 years for analysis, how can you innovate? And speed is important. Number 5, prepare your policies and processes for innovation so that you can actually execute. So structure your organization in such a way you collect these ideas and you put them in your system and the processes, they become executable. Otherwise, there's no point of having great ideas, innovation department, innovation director, and yet you don't execute innovative ideas. Embrace the paradoxes of innovation culture. It might sound simple, but it's very complex. And let me tell you, for the last 24 years, I've been referring Mr. Msusa as Leonard. I've been greeting him, "Hi, Leonard," because that's how he taught me. And then last year, I retired from formal Deloitte before I founded Pemandu. And I found myself in so many committees and where I have to work with Leonard and with some colleagues from parastatals or civil service. So you are in a team with 10 people. Half of them are older than me, saying, "Shikamoo Mzee Msusa." And I've been referring him as Leonard and "Hi, Leonard." Imagine how uncomfortable, how uncomfortable I have to start saying "Shikamoo Mzee Msusa." After 24 years, yeah, "Hi, Leonard," because that's how he taught me. In my organization now, after professional services, I've diversified a little bit, so I'm not only in professional services, I have other businesses where they like people to call boss. They have to tell me, "Shikamo." My own kids, they don't tell me "Shikamo." So you can see this shock in my face when I have to receive several "Shikamos." From these people, half of them are older than me, but because I'm the boss and they have to refer me as boss, "Shikamo boss." Very difficult for those people to innovate because you can see how uncomfortable they are to interact with me. They cannot tell me, "This is wrong. We don't have to do this. This we have to do in this way." And that's how to build now innovation culture, and especially in the environment like ours where age matters. So I mentioned about this, what we can do in terms of to create that innovation culture, tolerance for failure, willingness to experience, psychologically safety, and collaboration, which is required. But also we have to be careful, especially on collaboration. Much as you have to do in group, but there must be individual accountability. People should be rewarded for what they do or not do. And the same way should be reprimanded. So accountability is important. Willingness to experiment, yes, is important, but there must be discipline. Very high level of discipline is required to have innovation culture. Yes, there must be tolerance for failure, but incompetence should not be tolerated. So whenever there is a failure, should not be because of incompetence. Incompetence should never be tolerated to create innovation culture. And also, yes, people, they should speak up, but there must be some brutal honesty. People should be given feedback on how they can improve. And this is, you can do in so many ways and in a safe environment. You don't need to tell me no, 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 no. But give me space to say, and later on, when you are two of you, you can tell someone, you know this, you can do better by this one. You know, yes, we tolerate, you can say anything, but in that meeting, you came unprepared. And that is how you can tell our people. Number 7, about to end. So most of us assume human beings are rational in their action. So we assume change happens in the order you analyze the information, you think through it, and then you change. But in reality, human beings The way we act, the way we change is very irrational, and we use emotions. So we see, we feel, and then we change. Why this is relevant? And that is come the role of leadership and managers. When they play that role of leadership, your actions speaks louder than what you say, than those analyses you give. So people, they change when they see you changing. So your action is important because that's how human being we act. So leadership is influence and not control. The most powerful leadership tool is you. You have to use your own examples when relating to your team members. So thank you for your attention. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, David, for really a nice presentation. I'm just learning today. Got new thing, good new things, and I hope everyone is enjoying this session. People, our speakers were quite prepared, and they make us think again. So what I'm learning now is, for innovation to happen in an organization, it should be deliberate. It should be nurtured. It can't be spontaneous. And if it is, then that space should be there for somebody to bring that thinking. Otherwise, it will never happen. And it should be adding value. I like the example of in banks. I was even writing my name, it was cut. So it's true. I was opening an account in a bank, and this guy was printing a card and saying, "No, your name can't fit here. The three names cannot fit here." And then, so I had my first name and the second name, half of it. And that's what it appears. It's true. So some of these, they're small things, but people sit there, digitize it from paper-based to paper. Maybe the paper-based one was better, then the names will be there. So anyhow, it can be very small things to big complex stuff. So sometimes people assume innovation, they are the big things, like AI, that how it works now. But there's small things that really matters too.